Welcome to the kingdom. Where the kings bow down. They relinquish the crown. Y'all gon' hate me now. I just turn that around and make you love me. The queendom.
All right.
Kings bow down. They relinquish the crown.
Kurt, is that the first time you've actually made an entrance to a song called Welcome to the Queendom?
That's, believe it or not, the first time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
I feel like Bieber up here or something like this. Like, this is, you know, tech journalists don't usually get this kind of situation.
They don't?
No, I know
No.
you're familiar with it, but not me. We got a ton to talk about. WWE, specifically women in the WWE taking over Evolution. You guys just had a pay-per-view thing that I think was a huge success. But before we get to that, you have something you want to show all of us, get us maybe a little hyped up.
Yes. So let me just see a show of hands. How many of you are familiar with WWE? All right. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you very much. Well, for those of you who aren't, instead of me telling you all about our brand, I think it's easier for me to just show you.
WWE.
WWE.
Three little letters. But one extraordinary experience.
I had the best time there.
I went out there and I just got caught up.
The energy in this place is unbelievable.
It's more than this.
WWE is the #1 sports channel on YouTube. WWE has been a major topic in all forms of social media.
We are being seen all over the world.
Well, you better get ready for WrestleMania.
What's up, Kids' Choice Awards?
The family.
My wife is Maurice. She is the Mrs. You get it? Ms. and Mrs.
And even more than a spectacle, we are family. Friends. Heroes. We are a community.
Like when I close my eyes and don't even care if anyone sees me dance. Like I can fly and don't even think of touching the ground. Like a heartbeat skip, like an open page, like a one-way trip on an aeroplane. It's the way that
This was my best day ever.
brand new.
We are WWE.
All right. Hyped up. What goes through your mind when you see that? You guys have done so much.
I'm so proud when I see that, and I think about where WWE has come from when I was a little girl. You know, my father really started the WWE. It was a Northeast regional promotion that is now a global phenomenon in 180 countries and 25 different languages.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Evolution, which was a women's only, I guess, event
Yes,
that you
all
had,
women's, our
pay-per-view.
first ever.
Before you tell me how it went, walk us through just really quickly why this is such a big deal. Because this is the first time you've ever done a female-only match, a female-only event like this.
It is hugely important, especially when you consider this moment in time in our world. Not only in sports, not only in entertainment, in business, in media, women are finally becoming the spotlight. They are finally becoming the equal counterpart that they should be. And WWE, I'm so proud, is such a huge part of that movement with Evolution, which isn't just a pay-per-view event, it's also a live streaming event on WWE Network, which is our direct-to-consumer.
Yep.
We were actually the first live streaming OTT platform to launch. We launched, you know, of course, behind Netflix and Hulu. We're still trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was, we were the first live streaming platform, and that was a calculated risk.
And so what was it that happened in the world around WWE that made you say now's the right time to do this particular event?
Well, it's more than just this event. So what happened is we started recruiting athletes from all over the world, elite athletes, male and female. And it's actually my husband who spoke at on this stage last year, Triple H, Paul Levesque. He started training the women the same as the men, giving them the same opportunities in terms of match time, which, like anything else, it's reps. The more you do, the better you're going to get, the more you can hone your craft. And these women started stealing the show. And the audience started chanting, "This is wrestling," and women's wrestling. So then you go to, and that's in our developmental system, which started off as a developmental platform and has now evolved into a global touring brand for WWE, the third one. So then on one of our flagship shows, Monday Night Raw, which airs in the U.S. On USA Network, and again, like I said, all over the world, our women were more often treated as secondary, if not tertiary, type characters, because it was never believed they could be the draw or that they could be the main event. And there was a tag match that specifically lasted all of 30 seconds. And a tag match is obviously a team of two competing against each other. So 4 entrances and a match that lasted 30 seconds. And our fans had had enough. And they started a hashtag that trended worldwide for 3 days called Give Divas a Chance.
And divas were what female
How
wrestlers
we branded.
were called.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very
exactly.
like sexualized originally.
No. Divas actually, I mean, I'm not saying that that's, wasn't represented in some form or fashion, but the term divas at that time was the divas of soul. Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, all of that good stuff. And it was successful. It was an effort to spotlight the women's division. It evolved into some reality programming like Total Divas, which is now Total Bellas. And we now have a third reality show on USA Network called Ms. and Mrs.
Yeah.
But our fans with this hashtag were specifically calling for more athleticism, better storylines, more character development. And their voices were so loud that our chairman and CEO responded, "We hear you, keep watching, hashtag Give Divas a Chance." So then at WrestleMania, which is akin to our Super Bowl, strategically our biggest event at AT&T Stadium in front of over 101,000 people. I mean, think about this room times 10.
Yeah.
Right, we had WWE Hall of Famer Lita go out and announce the rebranding of the Divas division to the women's division. She unveiled a new championship belt more akin to the men's, but still very feminine, and announced that our women would now be called superstars, same as the men. And since that time, our women have been more regularly headlining and main eventing our programming. We signed Rowdy Ronda Rousey, arguably one of the world's greatest athletes, male or female, and perhaps the biggest story, in addition to the event that you referenced, which was the origin of your question, in Abu Dhabi nearly a year ago, for the first time ever, our women were allowed to perform. And they had to wear different costuming. Only their heads and their hands could be exposed. But during their match, a chant broke out in the arena, both men and women chanting, "This is hope." This is hope. In a WWE wrestling event in Abu Dhabi, men and women chanting, "This is hope," seeing women represented. That's what this movement is all about. Thank you. It's so much bigger than one brand.
Yeah.
It's bigger than all of us.
When you see that and hear that feedback, does it make you wish that you had done this earlier? Does it make you think, gosh, why didn't we do this a decade ago?
I think it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback,
Sure.
And to look back, that expression is also so dated, given that people are just saying that out loud. But, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. So I don't like to look back. I like to look forward. I like to look at the opportunity we have now. That expression, to be the change you want to see in the world, that I understand that every day a little bit better. And our event, Evolution, which was the first ever all-women's live streaming pay-per-view event, not only was it a sellout, over 10,000 people in Nassau Coliseum in New York, but it also trended #1 worldwide during the Sunday Night Football, NFL, and Major League Baseball's World Series.
Wow.
For hours, it trended #1 worldwide.
And how did it perform against some of your previous matches, I guess, your previous events?
It was right on par with previous events, and it overperformed our budget. So.
Okay. Do you want to do this again at some point? I mean, it sounds like it was a success.
I'm not making any formal announcement.
Yeah. Do you want to just tell us all?
When we do, Kurt, I'm calling you.
Okay.
So
great.
You get it.
All right, I like that. When you look back and you look at the kind of lead up to something like this, obviously it was a big moment for the WWE. How did it change the way that you market an event like this? How did it change the way you script an event like this? Were there very many differences in the actual production?
Not in terms of the storytelling itself, because WWE is like, a great opera, play, movie, book. It's protagonist versus antagonist with conflict resolution. Our conflicts just happen to be settled inside a 20 by 20 foot ring with some of the greatest live action you can see in any movie or in any sport. So the foundation of the storytelling doesn't change at all. But the opportunities change. We were covered for the first time ever by, female publications like Cosmo and Refinery 29 and Bustle. And we had a new partner, CoverGirl, who had never before been a part of WWE as a sponsor. So it really is opening new doors for us. And again, hopefully we can have the opportunity to really make a difference, because that's what it's about.
Yeah. When you look moving forward, what are some of the barriers right now that female wrestlers maybe have to get into the industry or get into the sport that their male counterparts don't have? Do you feel like it's on par at this point or not yet?
No, it's definitely not on par yet. The goal is true parity and equality. And we're getting there. We're working on it. I think that there is more of an opportunity than there has ever been before. We've signed female athletes from the Middle East, like Shadia Biseso. We signed Kavita Devi from India, Casey Catanzaro from American Ninja Warrior. So there is this huge groundswell, really, of women seeing WWE, especially female athletes, as the next path for them. Mm-hmm. It's hard for athletes when they've been successful in their sports. What do they do after that, male or female? And WWE is becoming more and more of an opportunity.
Yeah. What's the recruiting process like? How do you become, tagged as the next WWE superstar?
Well, you have to have charisma. You have to have a lot of charisma. You have to be able to connect with the audience.
Hold a chair and
No. That comes later.
Okay.
If you're good enough.
You can teach that.
That's right. You can't teach charisma.
Right.
But, we do have our Performance Center based in Florida in the United States, and we actually just launched one in the UK. So our goal is global localization. Our goal is to replicate this model of training and a localized version of NXT, which is the developmental system I was mentioning before that evolved into our third global touring brand. And the UK is really our first market. And once that proves to be successful, we're going to put that model everywhere.
Yeah.
But when you think about recruiting and training, you bring in all of these athletes, and really the numbers keep increasing of people who truly are interested and the level of athleticism that they're able to bring. And first and foremost, what we do is we wear everybody out, right, for a couple of days, physically drain them and exhaust them, because then what we're looking for are emergent leaders. Who are the people who are going to pick somebody up and say, no, come on, you got this, when someone's ready to give up? Who are the people who are going to give up? You want to weed them out.
So you can't just script someone to be a good leader or a good superhero. They actually have to have those qualities.
They have to have those qualities.
Camera.
Yep.
Ronda Rousey, you mentioned her. She's obviously a superstar. She's a terrifying fighter.
Yeah, I faced her at WrestleMania, by the way.
I do not envy you one bit. How does someone like that get looped into WWE? Is that, you see her doing her UFC stuff and you say, oh my gosh, the minute she's done there, we have to get her? Does she come to you? Yeah, I'm curious how someone of that kind of stature joins what you're doing.
Well, it's different for everyone, but Ronda has been a fan her whole life. So she truly loves WWE, and she gets the showmanship aspect, I think, better than anyone, really. She transitioned so quickly in our business. She's really blown everybody away. But it was a mutual conversation. We, of course, had our eye on Ronda. We were big fans of hers, in the UFC, and, now she's transitioned to movies, etc. But we started that conversation, and we started talking about what if. Mm-hmm. And it's something she wanted to do. And again, she's she's over-delivered every single time.
Are there more of those women kind of on Ronda's level that you have your eye on right now?
Absolutely.
You want to tell us who they are so we can keep our eye on them?
Well, I was asked the other day, what female athlete would I love to have in WWE? And I actually happened to be on the same flight as her husband yesterday, but Serena Williams.
Oh, yeah.
The door's open, Serena. I love Serena.
I think Alexis is here.
She's incredible.
He was on stage maybe earlier today, so we can make that happen.
Yeah, well, he and I were chatting on the plane. He said, "You didn't even tell me you were going to throw." I was like, "Well, I was just asked the question."
Yeah. We have just another minute. I got a couple more questions I want to get to. You mentioned people kind of becoming superstars outside of WWE. I think we saw in the video, we saw The Rock on there. I think we saw John Cena on there.
Yep.
What does it mean for you to see people who kind of maybe got their start in pro wrestling go on to do other things?
Well, I think it's hugely impactful for our brand. That's actually part of our strategy, is casting our stars outside of WWE and then bringing other celebrities and influencers inside our programming, because the rising tide raises all boats in terms of relevancy and audience generation.
Yeah. Is that something you take an active role in trying to kind of, get people into movies and things like
Absolutely.
that? Yeah.
Yep.
Last question for you. As you look forward, I know elevating kind of women's sports all around, not just in WWE, is very important to you. Is there something you've learned that you could kind of share with other leagues or entertainment companies out there about kind of building a brand around women specifically?
Absolutely. So WWE's mission is to put smiles on people's faces the world over, whether we do that through our entertainment content or we do it by giving back to the community. We have 4 key pillars of giving back. One of them is empowerment. And as a part of Evolution, we announced our partnership with Girl Up, something called Sports for a Purpose, which is addressing the gender inequality gap in sports, which is huge.
Yep.
And especially giving teen girls the leadership skills that they learn through sport. And I realize that's not directly answering your question, but what it does give perspective to is the importance of providing opportunity. When I said be the change you want to see in the world, you have to give women that opportunity. They will earn it every single time, but you have to give them the chance. You have to, and this takes men and women. Women have to fight for each other, and men have to fight for women too. And again, it's about equality. It's not about one gender rising above the other. It's about giving each other the support and love that we need. So I would say, empower one another in life. Whether you're male, whether you're female, empower your teams, empower your people, empower your customers, empower your consumers, empower your fans. You will have a much more successful business.
Awesome. Steph, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.